Here.
Mrs. Gleason? Here. Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mrs. Jones? Here. Mrs. Camworth here. Mrs. Ressler? Here. Ms. Stearns?
Here. Please rise for the pledge.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, before a motion to approve the minutes of the February 16th regular closed session. So moved. Second. Moved by Michael, second by Ms. Ressler. Is there any discussion? No discussion.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Ressler?
Aye.
Mr. Canning?
Abstain.
Mrs. Gleason? Abstain. Mr. Johnson? Mrs. Camworth, aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye. Board recognition award.
Introduce the Glorious Splendor Women's Ministry of New Faith Baptist Church. They come forward, please. About 5 years ago, our school was approached by members of the Glorious Splendor Women's Ministry of New Faith Baptist Church. They extended an invitation for Hillcrest High School to invite senior female students to attend their prom boutique, which was being held at New Faith in Matson. This was an event where our students and other young ladies would receive a brand new pair of shoes to match their prom attire. The first time, 6 Hillcrest students participated. When they arrived, the event was so much more than imagined. The young ladies retreated to a continental breakfast, followed by a brief session on proper and moderate makeup application. There were other presentations, and the ladies were given their new prom shoes, along with a prom survival bag that included flip-flop shoes, for when those feet started to hurt. Kleenex, peppermints, and other useful items. The students participated in a mini fashion show where they tried on their shoes and modeled. This was more than a prom boutique. It was a lesson in self-esteem and a confidence builder for our girls. Being a school with a 60% low-income population, the value placed on seeing the faces of these students who received the shoes was priceless. The second year, more girls attended. The third year, we were asked to host the event at Hillcrest High School. We agreed and have hosted it here for the last 3 years. They have never placed a limit on the number of girls we have been able to invite. We started with 6 girls, and last year we had over 25 students receive shoes and participate. We are proud to serve as a host site for the event again this year and are grateful for the partnership with the Glorious Splendor Women's Ministry. Part of their mission is to care for themselves and others. The prom boutique is certainly an example of exemplifying that mission. Our students are fortunate to be beneficiaries of their generosity. It is our honor and pleasure to have them receive the Community Volunteer of the Month Award.
The Board of Education presents this award to the Glorious Women of Splendor New Faith Baptist Church. You have helped to provide a positive learning environment for the students of District 228. By the time and talents you shared, thank you for caring. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Felder. We thank you guys very much, but it's been our privilege and opportunity to serve this community. We absolutely love taking care of the young ladies. It is an awesome privilege. They get brand new shoes, and we love to see them come in and pick them out. So it's open to any girl that's in high school, that's a senior. If you know anyone, we'll be here again on April 8th at 10 a.m. Thank you all very much.
And now for the good news report, I'll turn it over to Mr. Jalen Lucky.
Good evening. My name is Jaden Lucky. I am a sophomore at Hillcrest High School. I'm a member of sophomore leadership as well as student council. And now, your good news. The Hillcrest family's dedication to serving its community was demonstrated to Mrs. Tritt's Key Club this month. During their annual community outreach day, the Key Club brought over 100 books, puzzles, and educational games to be donated by the Hillcrest family to the local kindergarten. Key Club members spent the morning reading and playing with the little ones, and in the afternoon, they went to the Victory Center of Sierra Ridge Assisted Living Home for an afternoon of bingo with the residents. Mrs. Tritt's Key Club exemplifies the best of Hillcrest students as they bring service, fun, and love to the community. The Hillcrest African Student Association recently held the sequel to the popular Origins Fair, which began last year. The free event celebrated African and African American excellence and promoted the pride featuring traditional African foods, live entertainment games focused on African culture and history, and rap. As a part of a 4-in-4 book club in the district, the IMC has sponsored several activities to encourage students and staff participation in the reading of Red Queen by Victor Aviar. The book club and the tech team have created a video book trailer to advertise the book. The IMC hosted a kickoff of offering Red Queen themed games and contests. Finally, the IMC tied it all together in a celebration and book talk. Hillcrest continues to be proud of its IMC staff and their commitment to student engagement and development of lifelong readers. The Hillcrest Science Club built their first robot this year. In the past, the Science Club have built bridges, various goods, and even t-shirt launchers. But this year they have their sights set on a radio-controlled multifunction robot. The preliminary work began last November, and they completed their current model at the beginning of January of this year. Using the robot project to learn about electronics, Mr. Poliak's Science Club has been growing as fast as the robot itself, as more students become interested in the fun, satisfaction, and exploration of the Science Club. As we wrap up our winter sports seasons, Hillcrest is proud to announce that Marcus Garrett was named First Team All-State. This is a prestigious honor for Marcus. He has had an outstanding career at Hillcrest and will always be remembered as one of the finest athletes to ever walk our halls. Also, congratulations to Kyla Cornelius, who earned an honorable mention on the 2016 and 2017 girls basketball all-area team from the South Town. A special congratulations is extended to our varsity boys basketball team for finishing in the top 8 state in the state top 3A boys basketball. Hillcrest won the IHSA regional and the ISHA sectional before being knocked out in the super section. Coach Houston and his Hawks had a remarkable season finishing 22-8. Hillcrest is home of the Hawks. Hawks are swift, intensely focused, and powerful creatures. They are intelligent, wise, and proud, and it is good to be a Hawk. Thank you.
Good evening. On behalf of the Titans, a familiar face, Kasia King, and a sophomore face that you'll be seeing around a lot who had an entire section in the Tinley Junction dedicated to his musical talents, Sean Ford. So if you were at the showdown and saw him in the guys' pom competition, I think he's got a dance career ahead of him too. So Sean Ford and Kasia King.
Perfect.
evening to all. My name is Sean Ford, and I'm a sophomore at Tinley Park, as Dr. Cohen so eloquently said. In regards to good news at Tinley, the Energy Club will be going to Argonne National Laboratory this Wednesday to perform an experiment regarding teeth and the effects of sugars and heavy metals in teeth due to the diet of sugar that we consume today. This experiment was suggested by sophomore Nathan Bryan, who we would like to extend special thanks to, and helped along by his doctor, his dentist, Kevin Boyd. Members of this club include Aaron Anderson, Lucas D'Antonio, myself, Marco Garrick, Jay Pillai, Abby Reagan, Nathan Ryan, Martin Santillan, and James Semanis. In regards to athletics, we'd like to congratulate our girls varsity soccer team for defeating Bolingbrook in the Windy City Rams Classic Tournament. The Titans beat Bolingbrook 3-0, with Carolina Carrillo scoring 2 goals and Steph Nichols contributing another one. We'd also like to congratulate our Titan Wrestling State qualifiers, Brandon Catledge, Joseph Davies, and Joseph Prochowskis. Taking it back to the academics, we'd like to congratulate our Scholastic Bowl team led by coaches Janet Canning and Mark Rice, wrapping up an incredible season, taking both JV and varsity first place at the SSC conference meets. Myself, Adam Miller, and Marco Garrick earned all conference recognition for earning the most toss-up points throughout the season. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Katie, and I'm a senior at Tinley Park High School. I'm going to go with academics and talk about and congratulate Justin Morgan on being accepted to this United States Naval Academy. This is an amazing honor and well-deserved. Justin is the 3rd student from the village of Tinley Park to receive this acceptance, and he's the first from a D228 graduate to be accepted in the Naval Academy. 18 Titans competed in BPA at Oak Brook, Illinois earlier this month, and over 1,000 students in Illinois. Our Titans participated in 17 different computerized and business competitions. A big Titan congratulations goes out to 6 of our students who qualified for BPA Nationals: Tyler Bearden, Carolina Carrillo, Marina Abraham, Daniel Pasquale, and Ashley Santos, and myself. Way to go. The Tinley Park High School Scholastic Bowl, led by coaches Janet Canning and Mark Rice, wrapped up an incredible 2016 and 2017 season. Both JV and varsity fought hard and earned first place at the SSC conference meet. Sean Ford, Adam Miller, and Marco Garrick earned all conference recognition for earning the most toss-up questions throughout the season. Way to go, team. Also, I'd also like to congratulate students in youth and government for presenting at the Village of Tinley Park, where Sean Ford, myself, Zachary Nelson, Maggie O'Brien, Caroline Oskowski, Abby Reagan, Caitlin Sanders, Victoria Solis, and Abigail Zakalik all participated and presented as the government. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Oak Forest High School is pleased to have Mike Dupolo, one of our senior 2-sport athletes, here to present the good news report tonight. Mike.
As Mr. Dunn mentioned, I'm Mike Duplo. I'm going to start off with academics and activities. Our ecology club presented their migration study at the Wild Things Conference at the UIC Pavilion. Our mathletes qualified 7 students for state in the U of I in May. Our JV and Scholastic Bowl teams both placed second in regionals, in the SSC Blue Division. BPA sent 11 students home with medals for state, and they are sending 8 down to nationals in Florida. Perfect scores were obtained by 3 students at the IHSA solo and ensemble contests. Very proud of that. For athletics, we had 10 programs that were qualified for the IHSA Team Academic Achievement Award for their GPAs. The wrestling program wrapped up a great season, and they had 3 individuals earn all-state honors at the individual state tournament, and then falling in the team state tournament in the quarterfinals. Girls program, they won a regional championship, and they lost in the sectional championship. Very good season for them. And they had Sabrina Baxa, who was a all-area nominee. We had 10 students who were all-conference athletes in the SSC, and we had 5 students who just recently signed their letters of intent. Very excited to see where Oak Forest goes, not only Oak Forest, but the district with everything coming up, and thank you guys.
Good Senior Narisha Bell, and Christian Marcato to give our good news report. It's their first time, so.
Hello guys, my name is Christian Mercado. I'm a senior from high school. I'm a part of the Chess Club, the Athletes team, the Scholastic team, Dreamers Club, and
Hello, my name is Narisha Beal. I am an active participant of the music program at Bremen. I'm a member of the National Honor Society, and I am also the salutatorian of my class.
I'd like to start off this by saying that Bremen competed at the Miracle Minute on Wednesday, March 8th, along with the other District 228 schools. Each school would donate, they'd collect funds for charity of their choice, and whoever earned the most dollar average per student would also earn points at the Spirit Showdown, which took place on March 9th. And Bremen raised the most for the Miracle Minute. We made over $2,800 for St. Baldrick's. As for St. Baldrick's, I also took place in that, and I shaved my mane.
Bremen High School is proud to recognize 7 students that we have named as Illinois State Scholars. Illinois State Scholars possess strong academic potential and are chosen based on a combination of exemplary ACT or SAT scores, as well as 6-semester class ranking. These students include myself, Andrew Costello, Katara D, Leonard Fido, Christian Mercado, Richard Ryan, and Jamira Thomas. We are very proud of our elite seniors on receiving this recognition.
More good news. Our 2017 chess team went to state and we improved our overall rank by 20 positions. We finished top 10 in our state division, and our team consisted of sophomores Jose Ceballos, Julia Cuthbert, Emmer Diaz, Andy Esparza, Alan Mendez, Junior Daniel Aceves, seniors Lenny File, Tyler Graham, me, and Richie Ryan, and I'm proud of them all.
And 17 Bremen's band and choir students were awarded SSC All-Conference honors this year. We performed at a 2017 SSC Music Festival at Levis High School on Wednesday, March 1st. Students include Daniel Seves, myself, Katie Coscone, Carson Edwards Foreigner, Daisy Garcia, Alfredo Garcia, Alexis Grady, Heather Denise, DeBrias Lake, Brianna Lloyd, Valerie Martinez, Alexis Meadows, Ashanti Perkin, Megan Piretta, Margarita Tisano, Cara Villanueva, and Kia Lyons.
Three computer science students, Richard Ryan, Tyler Graham, and me, we entered into the Build It 2017 Raspberry Pi Student Challenge at IIT. Each student team must demonstrate the end result of their created technology, create a YouTube video that demonstrates their project, and they have to respond to the judges' questions. We will be showing our device on April 29, 2017 at IIT. Our device is a dedicated device to listen to audiobooks that's specifically catered to the visually impaired.
And thank you for our good news report. As we say at Bremen, we are proud.
Now I'd like to introduce 2 Hillcrest teachers, Jane Molick and Chris Cardinal, who are here to speak with you about our IPI initiative.
We do have presentations today. If you want to be more
So as Dr. Buchanan introduced us, I am Jane Molick. I teach science here at Hillcrest High School. Chris Cardinal, I teach science as well. If anybody can't hear us, just let us know. We'll increase our teacher voices. So we are going to talk to you you about the Instructional Practices Inventory, which is IPI, as we refer to it for quick reference. Technology, got it. Okay. Okay. So we're just like it.
Essentially, the instructional practices inventory is a tool that we use to measure student engagement within the classrooms. Long story short.
And you guys have it in your booklets, a full description of it. It was given to us or suggested to us from the CSI team, which, if you could please help me out, stands for Center for School Improvement at Hillcrest. There's a need for that. So it was suggested for us to use this. We did have an individual come out, his name was Jared Valentine, who trained us for an 8-hour session in how to use this tool. And then we all were assessed in using it, and every person on this team needed to pass the test with an 80% pass rate. A 100% pass rate would indicate that we were then able to train others. We don't have the data for individual people. We only all received individual results. So initially, this was introduced to the staff at Hillcrest in the summer of 2015. The 12 members, faculty members who are on the team, have been working with this process since January of 2016. So we are going into our first full year, so we're a year and a half in, with collecting the data that we'll share with everybody today. See, this is not it. Yeah, this is, I'm sorry. You have the old one. Okay, so our team consists, as Jane mentioned, of 12 members. It's a diverse group. We have all departments represented, just to get, even though we're both science here tonight, we have a diverse group to represent the different aspects of the school with different perspectives. Again, we were all trained. There we go. We're back on track. Back on track. All right, so how does this process take place? We have scheduled one visit per quarter. So we are visiting classrooms one time. And in those visits, we visit 2 days. So a Tuesday and Thursday. Why do we pick a Tuesday and Thursday? Again, to maintain a typical day in the life of a student. It's not a Monday, which is the beginning of the week, not a Friday, which is the end of the week, and things kind of get askew a little bit. So maintaining a regular day-to-day process. And we do it once a quarter, as Chris said, to not interrupt classes. And because we're science teachers, we need a lot of data, so we can get good information from that data. 1 day a quarter wouldn't be sufficient. So over the 2-day period, 16 hours in essence are visited, and then the classrooms are visited routinely throughout the day. So the same teacher will be visited up to 2 or 3 times per day just to get enough data points. 4 individuals walk for 4 hours. That way, each teacher is not taken out of her own classroom or his own classroom, so the students of the team members are not impacted drastically to avoid the loss of learning from the teachers not being there. Okay. Considerations we took when we were deciding or when the process was being implemented, because again, we do not want to disrupt education. That is why we are here. That is our #1 goal. So we do not conduct visits the first 5 minutes or the last 5 minutes of any of the class periods to avoid those introductory or those closing remarks that need to take place, where if the teacher or an observer were to come in, it may distract. We are mindful that this has extended math and English classes, so we are mindful not to come in during their first and 5 minutes because their schedules are not the same as the rest of the day. We do mind how many times we visit each class period per hour. So Chris's class will not be visited more than 2 or 3 times per any given hour, just so we know when somebody walks in the door, everybody turns. We monitor this with an active document, so we know where everybody is at that is making the observations at any given time, so that we know that we're not doubling up or we can pace ourselves accordingly. You guys all have that in your hands. And then we are also mindful of substitutes. making sure that we, just as the data collectors, know what's going on, and if that ever comes up. Obviously, education should still be happening, whether the real teacher is there or the substitute. There is no replacement for the real teacher, however, but lesson plans hopefully are, as we've observed, sufficient.
And it is an irregularity, so it's just an observation that we make that we need to be considered or take into consideration.
So the focus of this group is to assess student engagement data and share this information with all stakeholders. Stakeholders include the administrative team, teachers, students, and if any of you are interested in all this data, you'll get it today. But it's everybody who's invested in the student's education.
Which includes the students as well.
Yes.
And they are aware.
They are aware. To collaborate as a staff to set goals towards increasing student engagement and increasing the opportunities to provide our students with higher order learning experiences. To analyze our progress quarterly and reflect on our findings. To work collaboratively to set attainable goals for student engagement within the school. And to work in conjunction with the building administrators to facilitate opportunities for professional development for staff.
So, what have we found out? Again, we began this process mid-year after we were all trained in January. So last year was a little bit of a trial period. This is our first full year delving into the process as it should be. So from our original data,
before you start, there are 6 categories that we rate each classroom that we visit by. The categories include complete disengagement. This is where students are playing on their cell phones, having side conversations, sleeping, or engaged in activities but not related to content. So if we walked into a math class and they're talking about politics, they're engaged in a conversation, but it is not content-based engagement. So that would be complete disengagement. Then we have students working, but the teacher is not engaged. So that would be reflective of a teacher entering grades or lesson planning or sending an email while the students are working. That would give a rating of a 2. 3 would be the students working and the teacher is engaged. So she or he is helping individual students, walking around, assisting. She's engaged or he's engaged in some way with the class.
it might be doing review work or something, but it is still, even though the teacher's engaged, it is basic level activity.
Then we have a teacher-led instruction. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're leading the instruction and everybody's taking notes. The students are still engaged. Then the higher order, which is what we'll be talking about, this higher order engagement. There are the top 2 tiers of our data collection. There are students engaged in conversation of higher order. So they're engaging in conversation, analyzing a problem together, disseminating some information to each other that is of a higher level. And when we talk about higher level, we're talking about Bloom's taxonomy. So that analyze, create.
This is getting toward our inquiry-based instruction.
Yes.
Okay.
And then
students are working collaboratively to get to their product.
And then the last one, again, in that higher order engagement is when students are working independently, but they are working on something that is of a higher caliber. So as Chris was saying, then here's our data from our dates of collection thus far. So in February, our complete disengagement was 13.79%, which is very high. Jerry Valentine, who presented this, equated 10% disengagement as equaling 3.5 to 4 weeks of lost learning time. So with us in February of 2016 being at 13.79, that was a concern.
Alarming.
And our higher order engagement was 15.4%. As we went through then, the second data collection was April of 2016. We did drop disengagement to 11.4 and our higher order increased to 18.1. We had a whole bunch of meetings at the end of the school year over the summer. We'll talk about those in just a second. In September, we came back, we collected data again. Our disengagement once again dropped 6.78%, and our higher order dropped 14.3. We have reasoning for why this happened. It's the beginning of the school year. Classes are still going into the introductory phases. What's going on? Then December, right before Christmas break, holiday break, our disengagement was 3.8%. Our higher order engagement was 13.6%. And then this last data we collected was February of 2017. Our disengagement did rise a little bit, 8.5%. and our higher order engagement drastically increased to 20.1%. So again, we have ideas about why that number went up for disengagement. It's February, we're coming back from Christmas break. Not acceptable, but
Something to look into that we need to evaluate.
And for you guys as committee, you've been looking, when you look at those charts in Appendix E, they're the bottom numbers, the totals at the bottom.
We split between core, non-core, and then the mid-ranks.
So as faculty, we have conversations often about what is going on and what we need to do to enhance higher order engagement and decrease that disengagement. So during designated staff meetings, all the stakeholders participate in collaborative conversations and goal setting.
No, the visits are only one aspect, so our observations, we're just collecting the data. The most important aspect of this process is the collaboration among the entire staff. That's where we work towards the common goal. Basically, we follow the same pattern of these meetings in that we assess the typicality of the day. Was it a normal day? So was there anything unusual that would have skewed any of our data? We look at the data, we analyze it, we celebrate what's good, we look at areas of concern, rationalize perhaps, or look at ways to address them. And then we try to find value in what we're doing.
So as a faculty, again, we are keeping in mind, because disengagement is the most destructive of the 6 categories of engagement, our goal for the year was to decrease disengagement. If we can get the kids to stay on task, then we could increase their higher order. If they're learning those basics by just being there, then we can increase their engagement. So that became our goal for the year. At the end of last year, we did send out, and you guys can't read this, but we did send out a survey to the staff as for what we thought were some of the reasons that the students were disengaged, and then for goals to improve that disengagement. So again, as Chris had alluded or had mentioned, it's a collaborative process. It's not the 12 members deciding everything. It is very much a whole building-wide occurrence.
We took all of those responses, we rated them to find out, we can't solve it all. So what can we do? What are our easy steps? What are things that we can tackle in order to decrease that disengagement? So we came up with our top 6 list.
So the first one on here, 48%, was implementing a school-wide teacher-driven electronic device policy. So at Hillcrest High School, we do have a policy. It's unplugged through our door. So all the teachers use this as, when you walk through our door, we're obviously allowed to wear headphones in the hallways and cell phones in the hallways, but when you walk through our classroom doors, headphones have to be out. Cell phones, we know that the students have them. It's almost like a lifeline for a lot of them. So the policy is Apple up, face down. Try to keep them off their phones. Another thing that we have done as far as, that's good. All right, implementing technology restrictions school-wide with the implementation of the one-to-one devices throughout the district. A lot of the technology was used not academically. Some were shooting pool on their iPads. So the INC with the district board has implemented some blocks. There's Casper, Apple Classroom, and there was one word I can't remember what it was. It was an acronym. Jam, something. Jam. So these things restrict the students' access to online areas that they shouldn't be in during the academic school day. Another concern or another suggestion was to offer a 2-week boot camp in every class to teach high school expectations. So Chris with another team had developed a shared document that was presented to all the students those first couple weeks of school, so everybody was on the same page. If everybody knows what the expectations are, then there's no question about what we should be following. And then incorporate character education and provide incentives. Dr. Sims offers a semester incentive program where those students who meet the expectations have a party with food, and they have roller skating and music DJ. They got t-shirts at the end of semester 1 for those who met the expectations. And then, and the deans did present to every class twice this year. They did at the beginning of the year and at the semester 2. Again, reinforcing, reminding what the expectations at Hillcrest High School are.
goal for this year was to decrease student disengagement by a total of 4% by the end of the year. That was after meeting with the staff, after meeting with the team over the summer at our retreat. It was decided that a reduction by 4% would be an attainable goal.
And that would increase our learning time by 2.5 weeks, or reduce the lost learning time by 2.5 weeks. So definitely a move in the right direction. So how are we doing? In relation to our goals set for 2016-2017, as we showed earlier in the data table, the data has shown a significant decrease in student disengagement. We are continuing to monitor that. Kind of whether we meet that goal or not will happen after our last data collection, which will be at the end of April. We have been reevaluating our goals since that first data point showed us that we had reached and surpassed our 4% decrease in disengagement. We added another goal that we wanted to look at, which was to increase the higher order activity or the higher order learning that was happening in the classroom. So since that time, we have presented to the staff different ways to incorporate more higher order learning activities, and we allowed them at our last Institute Day for 2 hours to work collaboratively as a department to develop some of those. Because as teachers, we always say we need time, we need time, we need time. So the district, the building was kind enough to give us that time to work together to develop these activities.
And by working together, you're given the opportunity, you're more likely to implement it sooner than later.
So continuing with IPI, it is a fluid and continuous process. It doesn't end as in any data collection. We are coming to the close of the first full year of implementation. We will continue to assess the data, reflect collaboratively, celebrate our achievements, and continue to discuss any concerns that come up. And a new goal will be set for the 2017-2018 school year upon reflection of our final data point. Thank you for your time.
When we started this was going to be a combined effort between administration and teachers, and we all got trained, and they took the reins and threw us out of the room and just took control, which I really want to congratulate you on. That you're truly the teacher leaders of the organization, so we celebrate that. Congratulations.
That when the disengagement rose back up, that the higher levels of learning also rose?
Yes. And unfortunately, we have not had an opportunity yet to reflect as a staff on our final data collection. And when we do get together, we also look at school data, student attendance, as well as teacher attendance, as well as field trips taken that day. So we don't have that piece of information yet to help us to try to explain that level of disengagement.
And the other thing is too, there are 6 categories that we base them on. So those were in that snapshot sheet that's in there. So it's because the disengagement goes up, the other 4 categories or the 3 categories in between, see very low, worst place to be, and the very high where we want to be placed, those numbers also change. So it could be where prior to this, it was maybe teacher-led instruction, they have now moved into that higher order facet of the content.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So, and if you said this, and I missed it, I apologize, but I was going through some of the information in here. A lot of great information. Thank you very much for all the work in here. As I was looking at the measurements, though, your stats went down as far as disengagement was concerned. Was that driven because of more rules applied to the students, or was it driven because the teachers changed their environment or their teaching habits?
I think maybe it's an awareness.
Because they knew you were testing them? Or
We're not testing the teacher, in essence. We don't even, like Jane said, this really isn't about the teacher. When we walk into the room, we look at the students.
Okay.
But just being aware of how are we engaging our students? What type of activities are we engaging them in? If we provide more engaging opportunities, is it more reasonable for engagement to increase? Instead of just, okay, let's open to this page in the book and answer questions.
So because they're aware that you're measured, that it's
a problem.
Okay. So they in essence, made changes in their curriculum or habits or?
We reflected on our practice, perhaps, and what can we do to get the majority of our classroom involved in their learning.
And when we first presented all of this to the staff after this first initial data point, we did hand them a form which again explained all the 6 categories which we're going to be based on. So I think it is partly awareness. And then I think it's also partly the students. They want to do well. And when we have conversations, initially when they think an adult's going to come into the room, it's, oh, you know, we're checking on the teacher. So if we don't like you as the teacher, we're going to play one way. If we like the teacher, we'll play a different way. So I've had many, many conversations, as have Chris and the 10 other members, in addition to the staff, in relation to the fact that this is not about the teacher. The teacher is honestly secondary to anything we see. When we walk in that door, we've already seen what the students are doing. If we have to go all the way into the classroom, it's just to understand if it's the questioning, like if they're being assessed that day, if the questions that they're on are higher order or more the basic learning. But the students are aware that we're looking at them. So they're stepping up.
Or if they're engaged in an activity, regardless of whether the teacher is engaged, if it's higher order, it's a 5.
Regardless of what the teacher is doing at that point. Yeah. So again, it's just the students being aware. I think the teachers too, with them self-reflecting on the 6 categories, this is what we're looking for the students to be doing. But yes, if you give them more engaging activities, obviously they should. Yes.
So when the times when the disengagement was lowest, are we also seeing a correlation with higher grades?
You know, we haven't crossed those numbers. I don't have the data for the whole school as far as grades are concerned, but that would be an excellent place for us to look at. And we can pull the data from that. Dr. Buchanan can pull that data for us as far as grades
And this is something that as a building that we need to look at now going into year 2. What do we want to do with this data? What comparisons do we want to make? Do we want to look, as we've measured out in our graphs, we have core versus non-core. Do we want to look at content? We can do that. We have to decide.
The thing we do have to be careful with too, though, is we don't want it to become a teacher evaluative tool. Right. Because at that point, then the teachers are going to be like, no, don't come in. So we are still trying to keep very open lines of communication that this is not an evaluative tool. We are just collecting data to see where we're at. Because this is still only into our finishing up our first full year, it's still kind of those beginning steps. And then where we go from here, as Chris said, will be dependent on conversations.
According to our presentation from Dr. Valentine, this is a minimum of a 4-year process.
So the teacher knows you're coming in then?
We do email them and let them know that this is the day. They don't know which class period will come in, but they do know that this is the day that will be or done.
And maybe Dr. Williams, this for you, this data, can this be incorporated with Decision Ed? So the question about the correlation between where high grades are and where this, we can pull that with Decision Ed.
Yeah, that's something, you know, we can sit down. It is, basically they use their iPads to collect the data, and so through a Google form, right?
Yes.
And so that gets translated into an Excel document, and you could actually and you have copies of an analysis. You have copies of the Google form that we use in there, and you have copies of the Excel sheet we incorporate all the data to that then gives us the it is in the
which one? The Google form is in the first process. And so in the blue tab, there is the snapshot that is how we look at the classroom. Then the second sheet is the Google form that we enter our data into. And then we give you a sample of the room route document. So just how we are collecting data, making sure that we're not overstepping or being intrusive on classes.
Is it only teachers then that are going to the classroom, or is it administrators as well?
No, there are 11 teachers and 1 social worker. And as Chris had said earlier, we encompass all the content. So there's a faculty member or teacher from every content. And then the social math, science, reading, special ed,
social studies, family and social science.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
was wondering, I have a possible trip, the high school and teaching class, and you wanted to give us a quick presentation on what you could do. I was wondering if we could do the floor right now for about 5 minutes. Yeah, they were good. You gotta go.
Hello, I'm Dr. Timothy Treadwell. Thank you all for having me. My organization, Thank you so much. I have a program that's funded by USDA in Michigan, the state of Illinois. We provide free after-school meals and snacks to schools, rec centers, daycares, community centers, churches, and with this kids in the after-school program, we do a meal and snack in the school year. In the summertime, we do breakfast and a lunch. If there's a camp or anything sports training, school doing something for the school year, summer, we provide it free. Again, we eventually do the state of Illinois. Funded through USDA, I bought some sample lunches and snacks. If you want to look at them, get an idea. Eat Enterprises, familiar with Eat Enterprises. Assembly Park, they provide our meals. This is just, I apologize, that's a sample of the lunch, after school lunch, and that's a sample of the snack. It's just one sample. You get roast beef, turkey, chicken, all meats. It's the diet. And the menu is allocated by USDA. It's not something we make up. We go by their menu, what they said. It's measured out in ounces, how much carbs, how much protein, how much vegetables. So most times they get a lunch, they get a fruit, they get a vegetable, they get a milk, they get juice in a lunch. Now with a snack. Again, that snack is approved by the menu set by USDA, governed by the state of Illinois. It's a program that I have with the state of Illinois, and I'd love to be able to share with this district. Again, free lunches, the number doesn't matter, it could be 2 or 10,000. We accommodate if you also choose.
And all you need from us is what?
Is pretty much, it's called a permanent agreement form, just permission to provide. And we get that, the state gives us the form, gives to you all, the person signs off, our company signs it, you all sign it. We have a start date, because anybody else other than school has to have a fire and health inspection up to date. The school doesn't have to have it, because you're in school. So other than that,
Do you have this form here?
no, I can email it.
I'd like to meet with maybe Tom and myself and try to wrap our head around this. And if it's something that we can engage in, we'd be happy. Okay, so
my information is on there, my phone number 2710993.
Okay.
My administrator's number's on there, my email should be on there, drta@yahoo, or Ronnie Long at Yahoo. That's my administrator. You can
Give you a call. You do background checks on anyone that was coming in primarily? You run those?
Do we do background checks? No.
Who's going to be in the building to stop something?
What will happen is,
We just deliver.
yeah, we deliver, but I don't deliver them. The vendor delivers them, and it may be an area where the kids pick up the lunches, it may be a coach, it may be whoever it is, and they dispense the lunches.
We have to see if there's
Now, I
opportunity.
can hire someone if needed, we can do that too. If it's needed, we can hire someone that's allowed in the school to do the work. We normally just deliver it in the school, daycare, the rec center, or the community center. They dispense it.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll be talking. Thank you.
One question, is this for lunches only?
It's after school.
It's after school.
It's after school lunches and a snack.
Where you said breakfast.
So go to summertime
For the summer.
program. Go to any summer program, you get breakfast and lunch. So if they have a sports team, summer.
Yeah, I
camp,
was gonna say, what about sports teams during the
Yeah.
season?
Yes, sir.
After school, before a contest, a lot of the kids, well, I don't wanna say a lot, but there's some kids that don't get proper meals.
But that's what it's for, because I think the ratio is like one of every 7 kids suffers from hunger. So that's what this program is about, eating nutritious meals, eating healthy. As long as they're in an enrichment type program, so I tell coaches, as long as you're teaching some enrichment type skills, if they're not just out playing, then the state says we go by the state guidelines.
Well, all of ours are organized, say, sports. So that's all right.
As long as there's teaching in the process, enrichment. So we can work with 2 kids, so there's a number of things.
We'll work through some details.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Great, thank you,
so much.
thank you very much.
We get the lights on? Yeah. Good evening. My name is Ari Verdusis. I'm with Architectural Resource Corporation, or your district architect. Whether you knew it or not, we're in 2 years planning for some exciting things to come to this district. You all may have heard that we're getting new football fields, synthetic turf, top of the line considered football fields. But what's more important, it's really a culmination of a study that we've done for stormwater management. And I'll give you a short synopsis of what that means at each campus and the challenges that we faced. Year 1 for us effectively was learning about each campus. This is Tinley Park High School. I'll broadly go through each campus. If anybody has a question, stop me. I'm more than happy to answer. Very interesting campuses. What's similar to most school properties is these are properties that are developed early, usually before urban planning can catch up to them, subdivisions. Something that's called impervious versus pervious material is what's important in civil engineering. And that's simply what ground can take stormwater and what surface or material cannot. So impervious material are buildings and parking lots. Impervious materials, buildings and parking lots. Pervious material are open green area spaces that can accept rainwater. And that's really important for schools, especially for athletic fields that are intended to be used for academics and programs. If you live in a subdivision, you'll notice that detention ponds are common in this region. And that's effectively a vessel for stormwater to capture, sit, and regulate into a system that is controlled by many agencies. Now, when developments catch up, such as this district, which has been around a long time, we become landlocked. And I'm showing Tinley Park first only because Tinley Park is unique, that it's landlocked by Forest Preserve District. These are shallow parcels of land, typically given off or spun off by regions that really make it appropriate for educational use. That all being said, we're planning for building additions, if you've heard. Building additions are phase 2. In phase 1, we're addressing all of the stormwater management issues in addition to capturing and regulating that stormwater volume so that when the buildings get bigger and the impervious materials get greater, we can demonstrate to the agencies that have jurisdiction that we are not implementing more stormwater into the system than would otherwise be today. In fact, the efficiency that we've created at all 4 campuses allows us to be less than what we're introducing today in stormwater. Why that's important to the district is because through the process of planning for the building expansions, we can accommodate a better use of the athletic fields, okay? What that might, let's see if I can read that. Why that's important is because civil engineers and designers plan for what we call a 100-year event. And on March 3rd, we experienced that in Tinley Park. I wouldn't say this is common for school properties, but you can see that athletic fields effectively become zero useful when you've got a natural detention pond that occurs almost half of the site. So this is an existing condition that we're looking at. And what's interesting, in our 2 years of work leading up to March 3rd, we can actually physically observe what a 100-year event looks like. Now, again, I'm showing you Tinley Park because Tinley Park is also very unique that it's on very flat land. This is a hayfield, effectively, for the Forest Preserve District. It's perfect ground to grow hay, but it's not very good for drainable, right? So, I just want to quell the rumor that the district is interested in just doing synthetic turf fields. In fact, the turf fields are really just a product of the engineering design. Now, I'm going to go quickly back to an aerial view. Again, that's Tinley Park, same site, right, but dry. The red and the vanilla color are the existing tennis courts. The gray area is the building, and everybody knows what a football field looks like, right? What's interesting about the solution that we've effectively created for all 4 campuses, this is a simulated model. This, can everybody see my cursor? Okay. This beige area is an area that we're targeting for a building addition. That's phase 2, 2018. What's interesting about that is we studied the site so that we can effectively route all the stormwater that you saw ponding in that film to an area under the field, and I'm going to zoom in on that. So what we've done, and how it basically works, is we're creating an underground vault. They call it a rock reservoir. And what that does is, in lieu of a detention pond that you might have seen in the subdivision, we're creating an underground storage tank. So that allows us to calculate what the 100-year event is, collect that water, capture it, put it underground so we can still use our fields. We can correct some of the grading so that we can filter some of that water and direct it to the football fields. That happens broadly in every campus case. But it also allows us to regulate it back into the system so that the agencies that have jurisdiction over this can be demonstrated that the school district is not imposing any flooding issues that may occur in the region. Okay? Tinley Park, this is what a rock reservoir looks like. The spoils generated from digging a vault is effectively the material that we're going to use to build up the building pad next to the existing building. That's important because we don't like level changes in schools. It's better to continue, have one surface that is navigable through corridors. And so you can imagine that the ground would taper away from a building. We're making up the difference with the soil that's generated from the rock reservoir. And it allows us to economically and more efficiently place that soil, keep it on site rather than pay to export it because there's IEPA regulations. There's all kind of costly events to take soil from one place and relocate it to another in Illinois. Does anybody have any questions?
Are you going to gradate that land, that property to slope somewhere so it'll go more in the reservoir, or how is that going to be structured?
Great question. Yes. So you'll notice that the tennis courts that used to be next to the building are no longer there. We're rebuilding those. And in the process of rebuilding those tennis courts, it allows us to adjust those elevations so that the natural low-lying area that would capture stormwater is alleviated so that we can have better control over the athletic fields. How useful they are